along the y-axis is feet, and it's approximately 94 feet, which would be like right here, for the distance across a basketball court. So what we have here is the time it takes us. The x-axis is time in seconds. The time it takes us to travel across a basketball court with a bike, running across the basketball court, on a scooter, or walking across the basketball court. Now, of all of these, the time that would take us the longest is walking across the basketball court. And you can see how that line is the least steep, right? If I picture this as a ramp, this is less steep, whereas biking across the basketball court is way more steep, right? And you travel faster on a bike than you would walking. Now, yesterday we also found how fast our speed here for the different videos. So for the biking video, we calculated the speed as about 21 feet per second. Might be a little bit different depending on which time you recorded from the video. And I'm going to write that as an equation, y equals 21x. Because there's a proportional relationship here, right? As time goes by, you travel further in feet, right? And the speed here would be our constant of proportionality, right? Now, for running, we would have an equation of y equals 19.5x. On the scooter, we would have an equation of y equals 16x. And walking, we would have an equation of y equals 7x. Now, just as we said how for walking that line is not that steep, right? Whereas biking, you have a much steeper line because you're going so much faster. So biking, we said we're going 21 feet per second, whereas walking, you're going 7 feet per second, right? So we notice here that as the lines get steeper, the coefficient, and I'm going to highlight my coefficient here, which we say is our constant of proportionality, right? So the greater this number is that I'm highlighting, the steeper our line is. And that's what we kind of learned yesterday. Now, I want to take a look more closely at the graph for biking here, right? So I drew another graph here. I changed my scale on my x-axis, right? Now, I've told you to highlight the coefficient. I'm also going to be highlighting my y-axis. Now, on the y-axis, I only included a few numbers. So half court is 47, right? And so I just included the 42 and the 48 here. So this would be about half court. And then we said it's 94 feet across a basketball court, right? So I just include the 90 and the 96. You can see the 94 feet here. Now, the word of the day yesterday was slope, right? And I want to know the slope of this line, and I'm going to do this using the graph, right? So if this is half court, and this is where I am when I bike all the way across the court here, right? I'm going to highlight along my change in y, because remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x, okay? So I traveled here 47 feet from half court, right? Because this is me at half court, which is 47 feet, and then another 47 feet would bring me to the end of the court. And I'm using my highlighter because this is my change in y here, okay? Now, if you have a different color pen, that's great. Or you could also use a color pencil, right? I'm going to show my change in x. So at half court, I was at, so here's an xy right here, this coordinate here, and x is my time, y is my distance here. So it took me, to get to half court, it took me 2.1 seconds. I can see for the second half of the court here, that's an additional 2.1 seconds, right? So this is my delta y value, and this is my delta x value. And I can just write this as a ratio, right, where slope we say is delta y over delta x. And so that's 47 over 2.1. Now, I'm going to check this using my coordinates here, just like we did yesterday, where we have, I'm going to set up an XY table here. Right? So one coordinate is 4.2 and 94, and the other coordinate is 2.1 and 47. So to find my delta values, I'm going to find the difference, because delta means difference here. All right, 94 minus 47, that's 47. 4.2 minus 2.1, that's 2.1. These are my delta values. Delta y goes on top, y to the sky. And we see I get the same answer as 47 over 2.1. Right, so this was, we had learned using the coordinates before here, right? This was finding the slope with the graph, and there's an additional example problem on Google Classroom. You're going to have to find slope using a graph on Khan Academy. Thanks for watching.